Hey, any of you kids want to see a dead body? Well, thankfully, there are a handful of video games that has got you covered. Today, we're going to explore a series of incidents where the public was unwillingly exposed to some particularly unsettling imagery involving the deceased of actual real people. Yeah. And these run the gambit of genres and studio size, known and relatively unknown. But one thing is for certain, the insensitive decision was done to do what they did for these widely available titles. So let's examine together, analyze just how intentional or unintentional these cases were, learn what the companies behind them did to respond, and it also goes without saying that discussions surrounding our circumstances this episode could get a bit distressing at parts, so listener discretion is advised. With that, it's Halloween time, folks. Hot Button's 4th, 5th dip into the season of horror? I forget. The point is that it's going to be spooky.
Well, third.
Third?
Yeah, because we skipped 2022 and we didn't do it in 2017 or 2018. I think we did 2019.
No way.
No, we did 2019, 2020, and then 2021, so this would be the 4th. You're right. So.
I got. Well, that is Austin Blakesley. I'm your host, Randall Beatrice. Sean Chambers is also here.
Remember that old thing you hang on your porch? That thing sucks.
And you walk into any store and it just instantly annoys you. And Matthew Nunaboom.
Mortis.
It's still stuck in your head.
It's still stuck in my head. Unholy Faith Unholy Trinity.
That one won't come up today, unfortunately.
When I was a kid growing up, my dad bought this skeleton that was wearing a tuxedo, and whenever you walked by it, it would sing "Putting on the Ritz." He was wearing a tuxedo.
Wait, I remember that.
I hate that song so much.
Oh, wait, it's a shame it ruined it for you.
Did it have a backing track or was it a cappella?
Well, it was through one of those shitty speakers, so it had a backing track. But it was mostly
did the battery eventually die, and then it turned into a demon like the singing bass?
No, I don't remember what. I think it just stopped working when the battery died.
I don't think
super duper.
I don't actually think those bats they died. There was no boom. There was none of that.
It just
cut.
Shut up.
Yeah,
oh, that's no fun.
Yeah, I think this thing cut off.
I mean, you remember? You ever see the YouTube video, the greeting card from hell, and it's the Who Let the Dogs Out, but it's just
all warped and
it's great. Now, I believe our last visit from you both during these specials, we talked about cannibalism.
Yeah.
So you're relatively prepared to handle this topic, maybe. We'll find out.
I think so.
This is the after cannibalism. This is what happened. I guess not.
Itchy tasty
Never
or
mind.
something.
Because if you eat the body, then there is no body, and it's a whole thing.
Oh, and firstly, before anybody asks, or before anyone asks, anybody, I did not intend to make the pun there. We are going to skip over the infamous Hong Kong 97 because we tackled that already.
Yep.
Yes, that was the first one of the first Halloween episodes we did.
So go download podcast number 46 if y'all are interested in hearing the full tale on that. Now, this investigation is set to begin with something far more established. In fact, many would likely call it one of the most acclaimed fucking sequels ever. It's an FPS. We all played it. Most of us, I assume. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Halo 2.
Stole my joke.
Same year, yeah.
Some might say the second best shooter of 2004.
Oh my gosh. Valve Software.
That's coming from you. Wow.
No, I'm saying what he's about to say is the second best. Halo 2 is the first best.
My God.
2004 masterpiece, Half-Life 2.
Never heard of it.
Friends at Valve Software.
You're coming out the gate hot too, by the way. This one's I remember this is the one I seen.
Yeah, yes. I mentioned before we recorded that this was the catalyst for me diving into this, and that's when I was strangely like, why does this happen more than once before?
Well, also you also said whether or not people were intentionally or unintentionally exposed. I mean, up until they listened to this episode, they probably wouldn't even have known they were exposed to this at all.
Exactly, because you're probably asking where. How could a game that sold millions and millions of copies on various home platforms across the span of nearly 2 decades have that type of shit featured in it?
Oh yeah.
Can we start with who though?
Which is
who did it?
No,
I'm just kidding.
Who done did it?
Gabe Newell.
I done doed it.
Pervert.
How would they have even gotten away with it after the amount of attention and breakdowns it received by dedicated fans? I certainly completed it on several occasions and wasn't aware of anything fucked up out of the ordinary besides our usual dose of fake bloody sci-fi violence. Luckily, or unluckily for us, in late December of 2022, a member of the r/iBleach subreddit, it is what you'd expect, would leave a brief comment on a thread that shared a collection of photographs showing the remains of burn victims, claiming they were from a burn victim, that it was from a medical forensic textbook for school. Macabre, yes, but not
educational.
Yeah,
yes.
not entirely inappropriate for those studying in the field.
But also we have to point out, okay, this was not a discovery that was made by someone pointing out the similarity with Half-Life 2. It was just someone who was just posting burn victims on, which, I mean...
you're right.
But I will say, it's like, listen, like, the Reddit was iBleach, you said, or whatever?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, you know what you're going to see when you go to there.
And that will come up again, that exact same. So, and what isn't routine here, however, was that their post wrote about how eerily similar in appearance the charred face looked to an in-game character model, aptly titled Corp01.mdl.
Wow, the very first one.
Yeah. Once the search that followed gained traction, it didn't take long to confirm their shocking discovery was indeed the truth. YouTube content creator Richter Overtime is credited to connecting the dots.
I just love the internet.
Within hours, describing on his channel and personal Twitter that comparing the two images left very little to the imagination.
Oh, yeah.
They were practically identical, with the only inconsistency being a flip of the right eye onto the left and vice versa. It was mirrored.
Gives new meaning to acid flip.
He also dove into the history of the body and where it was sourced from.
Okay, that's wow. They really, I think he enjoyed it more than
all the
Reddit detective at your service.
Yeah.
He just shows up and he's like, he lists like the name and like the person's life history, and people
that's
are like,
clearly from Faces of Death 4. And
yeah,
no, the identity of the man is not revealed.
Good, yeah.
The pictures are out there, both in blurred and unblurred form. We won't be linking them. Google it if you're curious. I did, but I don't recommend it.
Yeah, I don't recommend it either because
I think this might be the only one on the list I have seen. Like Matt said,
I did immediately recognize the asset though.
The reason I went looking for it specifically is because when you first. Obviously, everybody posts a picture of the zombie in game, and it's like, I recognize the zombie, but I'm like, I was just like, how closely? You're curious, like, how closely does it actually resemble it? Is it like a passing resemblance?
Right. Yeah.
And then you scroll far enough down in the Twitter feed where you get to the weird parts, and then you're like, oh, one, it's almost identical, and two. You do not realize how disturbing it is on the model. It's like, oh, that's
too much, and it's like, I guess you can get pretty up close to it in the game too. I just never thought about it. Like for those unfamiliar with the single player campaign. The disfigured model is used frequently in specific areas, of your adventure. Most prominently in the sewers and alleys of City 17.
I mean, it's Corp01.
Yeah, to represent the aftermath of dispatched local citizens.
Yeah. There's a lot of dumpster fires or like trash can fires around there.
There are. Yeah.
Right. A little insensitive, but.
You can also view or rip the texture fairly easily for modding projects via the Garry's Mod tools.
I was gonna say it's like you could rip anything. You could like rebuild Half-Life with whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
So
you can make every character in the game.
Oh yeah.
And it is kind of creepy how strangely realistic it is in contrast to the other renders in the game, like including the actual monsters.
Yeah.
I did notice even back in the day that this corpse did sport higher levels of detail than its, counterparts. But I didn't think much of it. Definitely not that it was something sinister.
You know what's funny too? It's like I probably noticed it as well, but when it is on a 3D animated zombie and it's like, well, one, it's a monster, and two, it's in a video game, it's like, didn't really faze me. I even when I looked at the screenshot, I'm like, okay, that's, wow. But when you look at the photo.
Well, here's the thing. I don't even know if these were used for zombies, unless they had the head crabs on the face, and then they would fall off, right? But they would use them even without that, just scatter. I think they might. What's the name of the tentacle?
Oh God,
things that lift you into the ceiling.
I can't remember the barnacle things.
Barnacles.
The barnacle, because I think you see them there too. And they have physics on them and stuff. But they can get grabbed.
That reaction of just like when you go, I'm like, A, yes, it looks a lot like, it looks almost identical, and B, it's a way different feeling when it's like you're like, oh, that's a real person, or what used to be a living person. It was. I mean, I shouldn't. I probably don't need to describe what looking at pretty much gore is like on the internet.
Well,
it's the same.
It's a fascinating thing, and I'll bring this up now because this is going to be relevant, I'm sure, for the rest of the episode.
Sure.
But like game developers, movie makers, like effects artists, whatever, they got to look at this.
Oh,
shit.
we're gonna get
Yeah.
into that actually.
Yeah.
Inspiration and such.
Right.
Mhm.
And like the difference is that like it's weird how like, and I don't like Half-Life 2 is one of the best games ever made. I don't want to call the people at Valve lazy, but like
Yeah.
maybe time crunch or some form of laziness
And
like
that will
Honestly,
also come up.
or pressure, like where they're just like, this looks good, just throw
Move
that
on.
texture in
Yeah.
and move on, as opposed to an artist looking at this picture from a medical textbook and making their own
Yeah.
version of it. Makes it way creepier, but it's not
Yeah.
sinister. It's just like
it's
time crunch
That-
or
it's-
laziness
it's
or
just
one of those
video
things.
game development
Yeah.
that
Well,
are just
Just like
So
the
it-
limitations of game
My
development.
my
yeah.
thought process immediately goes to like, okay, this is the template.
we're gonna scare some kids.
This is the template, and then they were like, okay, let's auto remove.
Sorry, I'm ready game teenagers.
Let's auto remove every line of code that has this name, and they like misspelled it,
Yeah.
and then it just accidentally left the template for all the other, guys designing the templates for these the monsters or
I mean-
creatures or whatever. That's where my mind goes.
It's like
Immediately,
some of
it's
that
like an
shit's
oversight.
fun. Like me and Matt were talking about when Mortal Kombat 1 came out, the fact that Ermac's name is based on the
Yeah.
error code
Yeah.
that displayed when
Love
the
it.
original game had an error,
Yeah.
and people were like, "Oh, that's a Easter egg." It's like it's not. That's a coding error.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
an
How dare you? It's a playground
It's an
secret.
exception being thrown. That's the
Yeah.
realities of computer programming. But like, take that and put it into this context, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
it's like it's scary. It's
It's-
sinister.
I
It's
do
creepy,
have a
but
follow up.
Sure.
How quickly was there like a Gary's Mod like mini game called Oops All Burn Victims with this texture everywhere?
So here's my theory. Actually, now that you mentioned,
Called Half Face.
Face off.
my theory is this: you said it was Corpse 01.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a feeling probably what happened is this was a very much they were prototyping how to
it was
design
an early
Yeah.
model.
Yeah, it was
and
an
they
early
left it in.
model, and then probably it sounds like Corpse 02 through whatever. It sounds like they found a better way to model it, or maybe just a more maybe they didn't want to keep digging through textbooks for burn victims, but then
Oh, my shelf is loaded with
right,
those.
and probably because it was
take
like
forever.
probably because it was like a Hello World kind of thing.
Yep.
And it's like they did every other one that's just the mod or whatever, and then but they forgot to take out the original the
Yeah,
original.
they
It was
used
the island in GoldenEye.
They used the
Yeah.
actual
damn.
picture as a way to prototype,
It
and
was-
then never
Prototype.
took it out.
It was an intern.
I mean, we've covered on this podcast before the development of Half-Life 2 was
it was simple and
horrible.
clean. Yeah,
Like-
it was real fast and
Yeah.
no
they had
problem.
To, they had to like
Great.
throw out the whole game and redo
Yeah.
it in like a year. It-
that,
yeah.
oh
Yeah.
god, yeah, that's
It was an absolute nightmare. It's
Yeah.
amazing that game came out at all.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
and let alone was also, amazing.
change, you want change gaming? Yeah, the fact that it's the first one and the only one in the entire thing. If every single zombie were like that, I'd be like that. I'd be like,
It's,
it's a
There's
little-
something fishy going on here, but
Yeah, it's the
this is
first one.
likely
It's
a
an
mistake.
It's a classic intern goof 'em up. You always use 0 for your template, okay?
Even we did that on this show.
This is coding 101.
yeah,
son.
zero based.
Yeah.
So also,
Damn
I mean,
interns.
this happened with Monkey Island. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Guybrush. Okay, they didn't know what to name the file.
I got a
early in
Guybrush.
development. And Brush was the file extension.
Yeah.
So they just named him Guy.Brush.
And then
But-
his name
See, that's
became-
brilliant. They lucked out there.
And so, but yeah, by the time they got to the end of development, they're like, "Oh shit, weren't we supposed to go back and actually name this guy?" Well, like, everybody had been calling him Guybrush, and they're like, "It kind of fits. It's kind of
Yeah.
it's a good fitting," and that's how Guybrush 3 got made. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's also. I think speaking to Austin, that is also a lesson of never make some temporary code and tell yourself you'll go back and fix it later. You won't.
won't.
I'll
You
get back.
won't. No.
I'll get back.
absolutely.
It's, yeah,
not.
never ever do it.
It's
You
in
will-
there forever.
Yeah.
Because then you start building around it, and then you're like, "Fuck, I can't take this out."
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
so what was the reason? Well, we've all sort of more or less come to the same conclusion. Valve has never officially spoken on the matter when questioned by Zach Swenson of Kotaku or James Throton from The Gamer, who are reporting on the story. our best collective assumption was that it was a leftover reference piece from a beta build.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, Valve is the only. I feel like they're the only company that just doesn't have to respond. They're like so high in the ivory tower, they cannot hear the screams of the peasants below.
You know how many emails they get a day about Counter-Strike skin?
Yes,
game?
exactly. That's why I'm talking about it.
You know what I actually just remember?
Yeah.
You know what it could have been from? It could have been the texture that was included in Trap Town demo. Remember that was like a it was
right.
That's
very
it was the play trailer, and it was like one of the first looks, and it's like I remember being very fascinated by it, but it's like it seems like it fits perfectly for the trailer before they abandoned.
I'm glad you bring that up because one might forget now this many years past its initial inception, but previously our Half-Life 1 follow-up was going to rock a way darker and grimmer tone than what the final product landed on. Its aesthetic nearing closer to the seedy underbelly of LA before the art direction shifted to being Eastern European inspired.
Which, God, it would not have been the same game without that Eastern European look.
Yeah,
I agree. It's
striking.
Yeah,
and you know, obviously it was a lengthy and troubled development that we reflected back on in episode 63. But yeah, the devs went through multiple changes to the title's overall setting. By the end, there were whole sections and enemy varieties scrapped, recorded dialogue cut, lighting adjusted to be brighter. Frankly, I support the pivot as much as an edgelord I am on the inside. I'm kidding. But I mean, this isn't the sole instance of Valve needing to reevaluate problematic inclusions in their narratives. If you guys recall, there was a Zen monster found in the files of the first Half-Life named Mr. Friendly, who was programmed to attack Gordon Freeman through vomiting and, quote, fatal copulation.
Whoa, damn.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. That's I didn't know that part. They changed that to the head crabs, and they just, it's implied
these were even freakier looking than them. They look like
the other thing to understand about game development, specifically programming, is that
it's easy.
You would think, very easy. You would think that just go in and delete the file. But deleting one thing in programming, even if it seems easy, just cascades, and then you have to test everything all over.
Right, because what happens if it's called by
what if there's a function that they created to randomly spawn zombies, and they have to pick one of 7 corpse textures to put on their face, and you take out one of them, and now you only have 6, and the game crashes every time it tries to spawn a zombie.
You can delete them and then forget to change the code that says spawn corpse 01 through 07. And I feel like either change that to 02 or you have to rename it.
I know.
Refactoring code is it's such a risky business.
I have a lot of experience with this. I too have hit the inspect button on my web browser.
Yeah.
Yes.
So no Mr. Friendly. Plus there's those what is it? The voice samples from Portal 2, one of gaming's greatest of all time.
You're gonna tell me that the sound of somebody drowning accidentally was stuck in the game.
No, there was a moment where the performer for Carolyn, as well as GLaDOS, spoilers, Ellen McLean, got increasingly upset with some of the desperate pleas for help against her mentor, Cave Johnson, aka J.K. Simmons, that was written into the script. It was a tad too intense for the E10 plus rated Buzzler, she thought, when conversing with the rest of the crew, and they agreed, so the lines were dropped.
Yep.
Of course, this doesn't explain everything with Scorchface, like how it stayed in beyond those stages. Was it just an accident caused by a tight schedule? We may never know. And it isn't exactly uncommon for designers to pull ideas from these sort of available materials, as we said. Although I do personally have mixed feelings on that as well. In the midst of this affair, a separate controversy was brewing behind the scenes on the production of Mortal Kombat 11, when it came to light that an employee at NetherRealm was diagnosed with PTSD upon watching the slaughtering of farm animals and other grisly videos as assistants in the franchise's beloved fatalities. On one hand, human biology is human biology, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that fascination. But in my opinion, the forced subjection of raw, real-world malice and inhumanity is not necessary to construct a gory game. Legendary movie effects and makeup artist Tom Savini has offered plenty of clever strategies throughout his career that serve as a worthy substitute to craft the unthinkable. Remember, the goal is to manufacture things that give the impression of being true to life in our minds. Not there is a key difference. And yes, I'm also aware that he did serve as a medic and witnessed atrocities we can't possibly imagine. So there might be inspiration.
I could just imagine Ed Boon walking in the office gripping his hands together and go, "Who's ready to go to the slaughterhouse, guys? You're gonna see some real shit."
I CC'd you guys on some 4chan gifs I want you to watch. And
Yeah. Look at this. This guy gets fucking decapitated. It's like a daisy chain email thing. Send this to the guy in the cubicle next to you.
Yeah, Ed Boon puts it in the group chat. There's a very important word that a lot of people should look up about video games, which is hyperrealism. We had a conversation about this recently about Forza, about how why is it that Forza and Gran Turismo exist, but also iRacing exists? And it's because iRacing cannot be different. They literally use that to train drivers. Yeah. They did NASCAR on it during the pandemic. It has to be perfect to realism, but
it's not an entertainment product.
Very early on in development, the people who made Gran Turismo and then later the people who made Forza realized they're like, wait a minute, cars aren't that fun to drive unless you're really good at it. How do we make them fun for people who aren't really good at it?
Exactly.
And it's like, how do you make gore fun?
Yes. Yeah.
Because realistic gore, if it's fun to you, you might need to talk to somebody.
That's a problem.
But that's the crazy thing.
Because Mortal Kombat captures that so well.
If you look at the fatalities in any of the newer
absurd.
Mortal Kombat games, they're so insane and not at all anatomically correct.
No.
How is it that Scorpion can punch somebody in the head so hard and it does this much little blip of health and then later he can just kick their head off? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, we're brainstorming here. Maybe it's the Halloween theme of the episode, but iRacing, where the game is you actually race eyeballs down like a track.
I thought you were
I played Never Dead.
Some things are percolating.
I thought you were talking about maybe a realism feature when you crash, the driver is thrown from the car and just rolls on the concrete.
That said, as far as that MK story goes, I mean, transparency is vital on all sides, and it doesn't sound like that studio's works and style of content are a good fit for the faint of heart to be assigned to.
No.
If it's any consolation, the Left 4 Dead 2 team dropped this tactic of research and instead chose to use housing insulation and potato skins for bodily reference points. And that's great because ain't nobody can tell.
That's insensitive to all the slain potatoes.
I was gonna say it's insensitive to the Irish. That joke was insensitive.
As far as sorry.
I was just gonna say it's such stark contrast to the sound effects people in Mortal Kombat. That's one of my favorite videos.
The Vice one.
The Vice one.
It's incredible.
He's just he's watching one of the X-ray moves, and it's this guy's
peppers,
ribs gets crushed, and he just grabs a head of cabbage and hits it with a hammer. And you're like, okay,
and it's perfect.
It fits perfectly. Yeah.
Now I just imagine a fatality, but insulation shoots out, just the pink,
Have you ever watched one of those movie behind the sounds or the audio where they're doing all those things?
Yeah.
I almost feel like I'm getting tricked because the sounds that they're creating don't feel like
the Foley.
They're actually coming from that.
It's just the mismarch.
Of all of the people, and this is not discount anybody who works in FX or video games or something. But of all the people in production of entertainment, Foley artists are fucking wizards. They're so weird.
Yeah.
You're just I always go back to the Halo. I bought the special edition of Halo 2, which came with the behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
And they show where the sound for the energy sword came from.
Amazing, yeah.
It's like the Overwatch hit marker is them opening a Bud Light.
And then, it's a bottle being opened like that, but it's backwards. They put it backwards. So it's but if you listen to it, you can hear. You're
come up with that.
These people just sit.
That's awesome.
They just record random sounds, sit in offices and tweaking them till they sound cool.
It's 3 in the morning and you're just in a basement with headphones.
I know how they came up with that because the guy did an interview where he was just we want when you hit something, we need the sound to be
you want feedback.
Well, it's you want the sound to be satisfying.
Oh, hey, opening a can is
so
satisfying.
He's like, what's opening? He's like, opening a can of beer, and he did it, and then he just reversed, and he's like, that's it, we got it, we got the sound. Yeah.
I just played it in my head, and I'm like, wow, that's genius.
Yep.
As far as
Yeah, I can really go for some beer right now.
As far as our subject goes, though, the burnt face was never formally patched out of Half-Life 2 on any of its hosted consoles or operating systems, but a courteous modder did release a free fix that does replace the old model with a less offensive new one for those that felt uncomfortable with playing the game as is.
Right.
Apparently, he achieved this by mashing together the facial features of Dr. Kleiner and Dr. Breen, which is funny.
That's funny, yeah. Also, again, it's like, I played through that game probably twice, and it's like you wouldn't notice it, in my opinion, unless you knew about it, because otherwise it just looks like a zombie.
A slight blemish on an otherwise kick-ass game, and who knows what else will be unearthed from it after 18 more years.
Yeah.
I think that's actually kind of cool too, because I was just thinking to ask you, what version of the game has these assets in it so that I can try and figure out how to roll back. But that's...
Bust out a disc on the original Xbox, baby.
So wait, but
or the orange box.
The PC, wait, the PC version is unchanged though, you said, right?
Yeah. All of them are. Yeah,
Valve has never commented on it or
I think it's just out.
Yeah.
Like if if it's quiet, it'll go away. Which
as long as the only thing that'll get Valve to actually the only thing that'll get Valve to actually replace it is if like whoever photographed it was like, this is my copyright.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Which is the most fucked up part of the story, that you can like own a photo of a dead body. But you know,
I mean, me and Matt discussed before. You can own 9/11 footage. Like it's
don't get me started on it. Yeah, no, I'll go on a tangent.
They're kind of like video game preservationists in a sense. Because we're not changing shit.
Warts and all.
Warts and all, bitch.
Yeah, I don't think it's not egregious enough of an error.
And it's statute of limitations.
Yeah, well, that too.
Yeah.
Moving on to an even unlikelier candidate. You'd never predict that the non-lethal Batman himself to get caught up in the crossfire entered 2017's Batman: The Enemy Within, an episodic point-and-click adventure title starring the aforementioned Cape Crusader. For a while, it seemed that the relationship was going okay with our partnership between DC, Warner Brothers, and the haven't yet crashed and exploded Telltale Games.
Telltale Games,
yeah.
Which is funny.
We'll get larger into them another time.
So this is funny because I think, is there another Telltale game coming up?
No, Among Us 2.
No way.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, I'm mixing up companies. Never mind. Continue.
I guess more commonly known, it's referred to as Batman: The Telltale Series, right? Or at least the first. Yeah, because its premiere episode of the series' second season debuted that August to decent reception and sales. We finished the first season.
Yes.
And it was alright. Yeah. But no, their story won't become relevant to us until the second chapter of the second season, titled The Pact. That saw launch in the next month in early October. In a couple days, word would start to travel surrounding a notable looking stiff that appeared on screen during a scene in which Bruce Wayne and his companion Alfred are on their Bat computer dissecting CCTV footage of a local heist that took place within a robbery at a Gotham bank vault. The screenshot was first captured by Twitter user BroTeamPhil, who shared the photo online, where people instantly recognized the bizarre connection to an extremely real event, despite the image itself being stretched and manipulated through their cell shading graphical filter. For you see, the corpse in question belonged to none other than Andrei Karlov, a Russian ambassador who was publicly assassinated while speaking at an art exhibit in Ankara, Turkey, on the evening of December 19th, 2016. The perpetrator who shot him, off-duty police officer Mevlut Mert Altanatis, loudly exclaiming to the crowd that the deed was committed in response to the ongoing protests over Russia's involvement in the Syrian civil war and battle over Aleppo. Now, I don't wish to get too deep into the weeds here regarding the politics of that. The abridged retelling of that on the night of the murder is that Mevlut was permitted to enter the building by using his law enforcement credentials, fooling the gallery security and attendees to believe he was a professional bodyguard for Karlov. Then moments into his speech, Mevlut, standing behind him, fired multiple rounds into the diplomat's back, fatally wounding him and also injuring several others. After the shooting, he then proceeded to circle the room in an angry tirade, shouting and destroying paintings that were on display. Within minutes, Mevlut was killed himself in a barrage of bullets by Turkish forces, and that was it.
It sounds like if he hadn't gone on the tirade, destroyed the art, he'd like sounds like he could have gotten a decent run in. It's just like
I mean, there was an objective. he was making a statement.
Oh, you're saying it was a one-way street. You're saying
I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say it's like, well,
I don't think he expected to live through it, so he was just like making his point.
So it sounds like he had a couple seconds to get like a head start. Just saying,
So this guy's a rookie. He knows you have to escape to the safe house to get the reward.
So he has more money for his next assassination. Is
Yes.
that it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Now, what is
Agent 44.
what is important to note here is just how significant this was. It quickly made international headlines, and the graphic video that filmed the entire ordeal was well circulated in news cycles. One snapshot taken from an Associated Press photographer, Mr. Burhan Ozbalisi, even won top prize at the 2017 World Press Photo Contest. To this day, that picture has cemented itself into modern history. So, what the fuck was it doing in a Batman game?
How did it sneak its way onto somebody's hard drive into the game file?
And how would anyone at Telltale think that something like that heavily documented was going to slide in under the radar? Like,
this is, again, it's like, do you remember when Uncharted got in a lot of trouble?
it was the Assassin's Creed
there was a photo
or something.
There was a photo in Nathan Drake's house of just a beach on an island in the Caribbean.
It was only in the trailer, right?
And it was in the trailer, not in the full game, because they removed it because people caught it in the trailer.
Yeah.
But it was concept art from Black Flag, Assassin's Creed.
That's what I was going to say. Is it the island that they washed up on? After that? Yeah, that's
it was concept art of that island.
And clearly a placeholder asset because they had to edit a trailer together, and like I'm sure that cutscene wasn't done. Yeah.
And what company was putting out games at such a clip that they couldn't possibly catch something like this? Telltale.
Something episodic. Well, and we're going to get into that as well because was it a mistake? Was it a sick joke amongst a staff member? We may never receive an answer. Telltale did not sit on preparing a resolution, though, unlike Valve. Yeah. And the cat was definitely out of the bag once Eurogamer, Destructoid, and Kotaku got told of the flub and wrote articles.
Yeah.
By sundown, the company gave their statement to a journalist at Gamasutra, reading, quote, "An update to the game has been submitted this morning, and we'll be removing the image across all platforms. We regret this incident occurred, and we are taking appropriate action internally to ensure that we continue to maintain our high standards in production and quality assurance," end quote. Honestly, like Austin said, it's like it was an artist that was strapped for time.
I do wish that we could have like the guerrilla like journalism or whatever that I wish like a group of like news broadcasters were waiting outside their like headquarters and waiting for them. Excuse me, do you have any comment? Do you have any comment? And it's just like a gaggle of nerds that just like, I don't know.
Did you see the thing that came out? This will date this episode.
Who are you and where are you going?
It came out today that apparently the apology that was written about
Gollum, it was AI.
It was ChatGPT wrote it. The developers didn't even know it happened.
So they were prepared. People are gonna be mad about this. That's a god. Oh man.
No, the publisher wrote it using ChatGPT. The developers of the game didn't even. They thought the publisher wrote it, like the PR person wrote it, but the PR person just used ChatGPT to generate the apology.
God. All right,
listen.
The worst PR person.
I gotta put as zero emotion in this as possible.
I wish that just started it like it turned into the what is it the AI Olive Garden commercial where it just it's nonsensical.
Infinite.
Everybody's noodles.
Yeah.
Okay. An apology statement, like a public public takes like what? Like an hour to draft and then like just take the afternoon to like look over, make sure it's like this is good.
Yeah.
You saved like they couldn't even put in like the morning of effort it would take.
In their defense, they are not English speakers. So that might be why they did that.
The rabbit hole.
I believe so.
The rabbit hole just keeps going deep.
Guys. Stop pointing your fingers this way, okay? I don't, it's been a rough couple of years for these Polacks, okay?
Listen, I'm Italian. We don't make video games, just sports cars and cannolis.
It's like, and the developers, Mongolian. Yeah, no.
Listen, Cyberpunk is great now. Go play it. Just leave me alone, okay?
Yes.
So Telltale, I mean, that fucking studio in this era was juggling like half a dozen projects at once, maybe more. And it was insane what was expected of their employees' output. It's no wonder they, eventually imploded, having to manage Batman with The Walking Dead season, whatever, Minecraft story mode, Guardians of the Galaxy, along with The Wolf of Among Us 2 and the later canceled Stranger Things adaptation. And
also,
just
they're making a
bananas.
Game of Thrones game, I believe.
Yes,
well.
and this was hot off the heels of Tales from the Borderland, my fave, and the Game of Thrones game.
Yeah.
So who's to say it's feasible that somebody there was disgruntled? I doubt. Like all I know is that if you're a weirdo that wants the original unpatched version, you got to buy that physical disc and never log on to the internet.
Oh yeah, I'm going out.
Yeah, where there's a way, there's a way.
It just reminds me. It's like, can you imagine? I want one of these stories to turn out to be like, I did that shit. Just some dude. That shit was me.
Like, yeah, no, fuck that ambassador.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay, so
and I liked it too.
Yeah.
So just quick clarification. Okay,
Yeah.
so the image was included in the game's files. Now, was at one point this a reference image, or was it just completely?
It was out there in the open in the game. Yeah.
I've also seen this image.
It's in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a robbery. You said,
Yeah.
right?
It's on the computer screen.
It's on the
Bank heist.
computer screen. They're looking at like CCTV footage of a bank heist gone wrong, and there's a guard laying dead in front of the open bank vault.
And he's that guard.
And it's
So it was
that
touched
guy.
up then.
Yeah.
It was touched up to make him look like a guard?
It's drawn.
Well, he was wearing a suit, so I guess they just
Yeah,
it was a reference.
filled.
Yeah.
It was filled over to look cell shaded because the game is cell shaded.
Yeah.
But other than that,
I think that's how they got away with the lesser
exact photo.
detail.
It was, okay, so it was essentially a reference image, more like it was, they traced over the image to make what the final. So it's like, okay, so there was a reason for it being in there, but also
But it's funny because with the exception of Kent State, if you just Google dead body, that would probably be one of the first images that came.
also,
Is this considered plagiarism?
Thank you. No, I was going to say,
I don't know.
I was going to say, I will say this.
That photo, that picture,
won
photo.
awards.
And that is that
It
person's work.
It belongs to a photographer,
Yeah.
or
It belongs in a museum. Sorry, go ahead.
God fucking damn it. That was good. Or it belongs to the outlet that the photographer works for. I would say
Associated Press.
it's less egregious that it's a dead body that it just traced over. It's more egregious the fact that image belongs to somebody. You can't just listen, finding an image through Google does not make it copyright free. Just saying,
I had this recently. One of our friends was like, I need to learn Photoshop. And I was like, I could teach you. And they were like, yeah, you make all the thumbnails for your podcast. Where do you source your photos from so that you can use them copyright free and make money off them? I was like, we don't make money. There is so, I mean, I guess incriminate myself, but there is so much plagiarism in these thumbnails.
Well, you know what?
Because I don't make fucking money off anything.
Because that's it. It's like no one's gonna care if you're not making money off of it.
Start putting some dead bodies in there.
And I put them through a lot of Photoshop filters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll protect us.
I was gonna say no one's gonna.
I did not use a photo of a dead body for the Hong Kong 97 thumbnail.
Good luck making a thumbnail for this episode.
You could have been the 6th century on this
It's
list.
just going to be Batman and
Gordon Freeman.
Can you make them naked with their pictures?
Yeah, I'll use Midjourney, the AI generated.
Also, really quick, incel shaded? Incel shaded, is that anything?
It could be.
Cell shaded, incel shaded.
We'll workshop it later.
Okay.
Yeah.
As for Mev Lutt's legacy to the twisted youth of today, well, his family may have rejected collecting his remains after just labeling him a disgrace. However, upon the realization from 4chan users noticing that one of the photos from the aforementioned AP photographer showed his dead body awkwardly in a pose that resembled a dancing Michigan J Frog, it only took a mere hours for the photoshopped in Kanan hat to get added for it to be passed around on forums and gaming forums alike.
Oh my god!
So.
Arguably more fucked up, but also funnier.
Also the most 4chan thing I have ever heard.
That's what 4chan does, man.
Yeah. It's like,
they do extremely fucked up shit that's hilarious.
Yes, that's like, it's the degeneracy. It's like getting angry at a dog for chasing its tail. It's like you can't who are you gonna be angry at?
Yeah.
It's 4chan.
Yeah, you're like, this is my fault for letting you continue for this long.
The internet was.
Yeah.
So this next one is a shorty, but by far the most gruesome and the most on purpose. Stepping into the indiest of indie titles, we've got The Hospital, released for download on January 16th of 2016 via Game Jolt, a gaming-focused social community service and app centered around independent creators and developers to host their work. I was unfamiliar personally.
Yeah.
So supposedly it attracts.
It sounds like a scam.
I was about to say, it sounds like it's like we'll publish your games. Yeah, 6 months later they just disappear.
You just got to put this crypto mining thing in your game.
It attracts a very Gen Z audience. I don't know. You can share videos and live streams, and there's chat rooms and whatnot.
That sounds lit.
Wow.
They do regularly run game jams, which is cool.
It's a vibe, you know.
I love Kinetic Sand videos.
Wow.
Yeah, all the games just have Subway Surfers in the corner.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. Something about having live streaming and chat rooms on a platform where a lot of Gen Zers like to gather. Something just gives me
a bad idea.
I'm shooting up my school today, guys.
Let me tell you about a little service called TikTok. A lot of Gen Z are streaming on there.
you know what? Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, the hospital. Wikis will describe it as a first-person survival horror experience from the perspective of an addict. I, on the other hand, would call it a lazy walking simulator trash, hastily thrown together in Unity from asset packs in an effort to capitalize on that horrible growing trend of Amnesia knockoffs for the annoying reaction fad.
I love PewDiePie.
At least at initial glance.
Game Jolt needs its amnesia, you know what I'm saying?
I need amnesia about Game Jolt.
So it needs its slender, the 8 pages. So you encounter invisible demons through not only being able to spot them on your camera's viewfinder, neat, not a mechanic invented here. You die in a single hit. That's about it. Apparently the controls are terrible. Your sole motivation is to locate your trusty heroine. It was made by Elias Demian Perez, received little fanfare, and was promptly forgotten for nearly 7.5 years until a clip begins to pass around in early July 2023 on Austin's favorite Chinese spyware app, TikTok. Where
It is my favorite Chinese spyware app. You're right.
Valorant is mine.
That's a close second. Close second.
We really brought that back around with the TikTok reference, huh?
So this is where, when a celebrity gaming personality and YouTuber Markiplier had incidentally done his own incomplete Let's Play video that was uploaded all the way back on January 22nd of 2016, 6 days after its page dropped on that website.
I wish it was Mr. Beast. I am going to play this game, and I'm going to find out if this is a dead person or not.
That's a really good Mr. Beast impression. That was phenomenal.
That was good.
So I watched this.
If you can find the dead body in this game, I'll cure your blindness.
Well, if I'm blind, I can't find the body.
Dude, I can't go anywhere without seeing his fucking face, his mug. I like.
Shout out to Jimmy Donaldson.
I was watching, or I went food shopping earlier, and I just walked down the candy aisle at one point, and it's like I knew he had his own terrible tasting chocolate bars, but he also has cookies now.
That's okay. I don't. I'm not stuffy about my chocolate. I thought it was I had my kids got some. It is very expensive
for what you're getting.
Hey, you're paying for the name, eh?
Mr. Beast Burger really went downhill.
Still goddamn ghost chickens. Goddamn ghost kitchens.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is how little I knew about this guy, and actually still how little I even still know about this guy. I don't know what he looks like.
He's white.
That's the first time he's white. Okay, that's
all you get.
That was the whitest voice I ever did.
Brown hair, goatee.
So I ordered what do you call it from
Mr. Beast Burger?
Mr. Beast Burger, and I was just like, hey, this is pretty good. And then that's when you guys told me it's like the YouTuber. I was like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? I thought the burger was pretty all right. Drawback, it's like you just get the burger.
Because it depends where the burger's from. It's not the same. Like it can be totally different depending on
the one you ordered from was made at Bertucci's. In Sicklerville, yes.
So it's more like they have a good burger,
which is actually kind of surprising.
Which is crazy because they're a brick oven pizza restaurant.
You know, it's even crazier. I've been to a Bertucci's up in Jersey City, and they sucked ass. So hopefully the
I do
Bertucci's
not like
down.
Bertucci's.
No.
But that's because I'm Italian.
It doesn't run in the family.
Yeah.
All right, so Markiplier's video. I'm gonna put this train back on the tracks.
Poor Markiplier, man.
Yeah, so this just seemed frustrating and obtuse on the surface. The game, he gets about 12 minutes in before rightfully giving up following a bunch of instant unforeseen deaths. He does explain that the concept has potential despite never returning to it. That obviously isn't what makes it interesting, though. Maybe that designer was suspecting that his demo in disguise was boring, because, you gotta insert random jump scare bullshit in there to keep the folks on their feet. Except, how do you separate yourself from the horde of competitors doing the exact same thing?
You put real dead fucking bodies in it.
Bingo! Easy. By making what's inflicted on the unsuspecting player real. So, you scour the internet and pull disturbing photos from wherever depths of hell you desire. It's all out there.
Yep.
Then, boom, you get your cheap thrills. Tasteless? Yes. Effective?
Yeah.
Kinda. It honestly didn't generate much fervor at the time. It didn't completely, fly past people. There were commenters that pointed out the 2 moments when the shock images pop up on screen in his gameplay vid did not appear fake and could very well have some seriously fucked up ties to our own living world.
Yeah.
For instance, in mid-February 2016, a Reddit thread on r/creepy was created to inform viewers on what was inserted, along with timestamps, allusions to Sad Satan, something we'll perhaps cover one day. There's a bit of an ethical quandary with that.
Okay.
But soon a direct line was drawn with people once again reporting seeing these pictures in places such as r/gore and r/ibleach.
Yeah. I think r/gore is, I think that they banned that, didn't they?
Yeah, I believe that was shut down around the Christchurch shootings, along with r watch people die. And
yes, a lot of, it's like subreddits that I know have existed at one point. And then it's just like, I don't even know if ibleach is, sorry, I might be forever quarantined. I mean, Reddit's trying to maintain a different kind of, it's like every so often it's like they just
brand themselves today.
Yeah, no, and listen, and which is
for
fine.
the best.
I'm like, dude, if you're really seeking this stuff, it's like I'm sure there
go elsewhere.
There are slimier places of the internet to find it, but also it's like it's interesting that it's just like they kind of just disappear overnight. They kind of just get Soviet Russia away, and you're like, and then it's like, oh, it's gone. Okay,
is rotten.com still a thing?
No, that's the they're long gone.
Long gone.
Yeah. And then the what's the other website that was big for a while? Because that dude's in jail.
I don't know.
Oh, wait a second. Is it Jailbait? Is that it?
No.
Okay.
That's a subreddit.
Jailbait
that's a subreddit. I'm talking
yeah.
specifically about a gore website that kind of replaced Rotten for a little while. It was just called bestgore.com.
All I knew about
it, I don't remember that.
He shared the one man, one ice pick video that was part of an active murder investigation, and you're not allowed to do that, so I think he's in prison. And the site is
damn, they came down hard.
I think it was like raid. I mean, this was I think in maybe Germany where it was hosted, and they're a little bit more of the nanny state. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure. I know it's run out of Europe.
Yeah, no, they've definitely they enforce their
they have different
content.
ideas on violence and
don't fuck with Germany.
Yeah, don't let them Germans stray too far.
Now, I'm pretty sure Markiplier had no idea that even this conversation was happening, let alone the context of what he ran into or the implications it could have. He's plenty aware that his demographic does tend to skew on the younger side, an observation that I can tell from the threads that I read. I'm cherry picking whatever I can that isn't idiots arguing about nothing. I saw someone write that his lack of giving it a second thought during the recording and posting was probably due to the sheer amount of him engaging with so many non-nefarious materials styled similarly.
Yeah, makes sense.
Also,
it'd be relatively safe to assume what's getting flashed in front of you is a realistic model by an artist or the work of a skilled makeup or VFX studio.
Yeah, I was going to say, depending upon how it is, it's like you can make some pretty realistic stuff using Photoshop. So.
It's also a safe assumption that somebody who would make a game that slapdash would just pull a real image too. Yeah,
that's a simpler solution.
Yeah.
There were
he's either Google image searching a real body or something that was made with special effects. He's not doing it himself.
There were a smattering of eagle-eyed users, but it wasn't until this summer where the problem would totally get out of hand. Remember, this video sat uncensored and age-restricted, buried on his channel for all this time.
Yeah.
And if what I'm about to reveal was more known, then this would have gotten flagged fucking forever ago. I'm talking seconds going live.
Okay.
Fast forwarding to late night on July 9th, 2023, though, we were so naive back then. Word is getting around on TikTok about it. It goes viral enough to spawn new Reddit threads on his sub after rating the old one. Eventually, the viewership on the original upload suddenly increased to such an alarming degree that Mark catches wind of it, and he quietly takes it down himself 2 days later on the 11th.
Yep.
A smart decision. At best, it strongly violates YouTube's TOS, and on his account may get suspended. At worst, you've accidentally traumatized thousands of innocent children and teenagers.
I'll also say too that it's
neither of which I can imagine him wanting. Say what you will about him.
Yeah, it's ready. Look at it this way: if the video just sat there for, you said years, just buried
7.5 years.
Yeah. 7.5 years. That clearly means that if the fact that he didn't notice anything suspicious, also the entire platform didn't notice anything suspicious.
Yeah.
It's you clearly needed to take a close look before they're red flag, and then it's what is it like? It seems like, but I will say something. I mean, the developer sounds like a piece of shit.
We'll get there. I'll have you form your own opinion.
I would definitely, not like to find out that the reason that he was going to make an OnlyFans was to make everybody quickly forget about this.
I forgot that happened.
I think the timeline
that was around. Yeah,
match up a little suspiciously.
Wow,
I completely forgot.
You're gonna hang dong to make everybody forget about the body, huh?
Yeah, you gotta dangle something.
Okay.
The controversy was also addressed in a separate vlog shared by him on the 15th. He kept it light and joked about it. He didn't really apologize. Not that it was, his fault entirely, but still. He goofed, and so did Game Jolt, I suppose, for hosting it. Although I'm guessing it's hard to monitor that type of thing. But they too followed suit and yanked it off their storefront. News level backlash was avoided. Of course, nothing can stop the sleuthers from backing up the video file, resharing it, and digging into the origins of those vile photographs. So, what were they? Well, okay. Photo number 1 is of a bisected cadaver on an autopsy table. Gross, though it doesn't necessarily mean as if it's affiliated with anything evil.
Yeah.
Educational.
Photo number 2 is of a degloved face. One with the leading theory, I specify only as there is no way to fully 100% confirm, is that it was the result of a victim being skinned alive by a deranged drug cartel. Much, much worse than photo number 1, in my opinion.
You're saying it was a skinned face or a what?
Degloved, yeah.
Is that the term?
Yep.
Yeah.
Take that glove
Use
off.
your imagination for what that,
You know what? You're right. You're good. I'm good. I got it.
Each are accompanied by your standard blood-curdling scream. Both are utterly disgusting, and neither have a dependable lead on whoever unfortunate soul they belong to. Now, if you're thinking the morbid question of what if there are more, why would anyone program this? What was the point?
Well,
and what was the ending of the game? There had to be somebody out there that played further than Markiplier prior to its removal.
Yeah, let's track down Elias.
Yeah. Enter a fella under the alias Creepy Faded Spark, who managed to get through the hospital's trickery of a campaign. Their playthrough video has 2 since been pulled. However, he was able to achieve what Mark couldn't, and that was to solve the final puzzle. Get your syringe of heroin to then be treated to a rather cheeky final splash screen that presents a mock page with the text, quote, "Now you have the drug," and a viral video on YouTube. Clever.
Oh, wow. That was not the ending I expected.
So there you have it. It was all a prank. That Elise Perez, maybe I didn't give him enough credit on his sole project. He knew that streamers were going to stream it, and then, he willingly put them at risk of getting in huge trouble.
Okay, so ready?
I'm just trolling, bro.
So ready?
There you have it.
When it seems to be taken in the context of this game is shit, I better put something shocking and memorable that's shitty. I mean, it's still shitty that he did it, but also it's like oh shit. It's like his plan worked. I was like, that's God, I don't know
He's
whether
wise behind the ears. I don't know. Well, it's like if you fucking hate video game content creators.
Yeah,
it's a pretty decent middle finger. They love, especially in that era, streaming. Like everybody was just like recording let's plays of horror games, and if you're just like, man, fuck them, they're annoying, and then you're just like, here you go.
I think ready.
It is a very fucked up but expertly crafted middle finger because man, like the amount of work that goes into video games. That are good, and then you just go on Twitch and just find people playing like this trash that somebody just threw together.
I think he knew in his own game the mechanics don't matter. It was just about the ending. Like,
I wouldn't be surprised if he specifically hated Markiplier and knew Markiplier would play.
You might be right,
because
this game was only like 20 minutes long or something.
Markiplier plays all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is some, I will say, some genius level trolling.
Yeah,
like that is like the plan coming together, like as But yeah, I mean,
it just had to lay dormant for like the better part of a decade before he was like, gotcha.
I know, but see, that kind of adds to just the almost like the magic of it, that it's like not only did it work, but it took 7 years. It's like that is a long con right there.
Yeah,
crazy.
Do you have the upload date for the guy who got to the end?
I don't.
Do you remember if it was like recent or?
No, it predated this like getting
kerfuffle.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
How bad, if it was specifically crafted for Markiplier, how mad do you think that game creator was when Markiplier gave up 12 minutes because the game was so bad?
I knew it was intolerable.
Yeah.
I knew it sucked.
I should have made a better game.
I spent so long searching for the perfect images, I forgot to actually make the game bearable.
He's a tough critic, that Markiplier.
Now this Elias Perez, he was promoting another game back in 2018. Except he does look. It appears that his channel has more or less become defunct. Maybe this was all he really meant to do. Shockingly, you can find the OG Mark upload intact as of this recording, reposted from the user I am Super Vegito, all caps. Again, I don't recommend it, nor can I explain it. There were a couple people stating that the site, like YouTube, can occasionally have fairly loose terms when it comes to the educational tag, so they might have attached it to that somehow.
To like protect it?
Yeah.
Because I know there is some YouTube bullshit where you can like show your whole asshole.
Yeah.
It's educational.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Well, not
bleaching your butthole tutorial.
Not the time or place for that, but
naked yoga's on YouTube, I believe, as well.
You know what?
Yeah, I'll show you a thing or two.
You didn't watch the video where that dude bleached his asshole? And he labeled it educational, so YouTube didn't take it down.
I've never seen a butthole wink at me.
You know, Austin, I must have missed that one.
I'll send it to you.
Goatsy was really just trying to teach us, you know.
That's it, yeah.
So that's the hospital, kind of a crass example in our collection today. You also can't play it. Not that,
what a surprise.
Which does remind me, this has no relation to The Hospital by Crux Game Studios and itch.io. I doubt that contains any mutilated corpses, but I want to specify.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who's to say?
So what do you say we move on from the recently deceased to the soon-to-be deceased? I also apologize in advance for this entry, as the crime it corresponds with is unequivocally beyond heinous.
So
it's fucking...
No, so I was actually curious because I'm like, it seems like
vile. It's evil.
It seems like you're going pretty much in the order of like, you know, least offense to most. Like the Half-Life thing was next, and then like
that wasn't even my intention.
You keep escalating a little bit. First,
I am jumping around in time.
First, it's like a medical photo, then the photo the guy shot, and then literal like shock images. And now it's like, okay, what's the next step?
Yeah, what you called the first guy Scorch Face. You said stiff for the guy.
Look, I had to bust out the thesaurus because I don't want to just say the word dead body 1,000 times.
You got me hook, line, and sinker. I'm really interested on how you're gonna diminish this victim.
I specifically aimed to not do that here.
Okay.
Which is why we're going to focus less on the despicable act itself and more on the unusual product that chose to reference it.
Okay.
ShamWow.
Law & Order 2, Double or Nothing.
Oh, I know about this.
A lesser-known point-and-click puzzle game based on the popular television police procedural / legal drama of the same name, and the second in a series of 5 PC titles, this succeeding Law & Order 1, Dead on the Money, and each were released in fall of 2003 and received middling reception. Honestly, not terrible for a cheap cash-in software.
Yeah.
But
also, I was going to say Law & Order / perpetual white noise for mid-afternoon when someone just leaves the TV on. It's just always, it's just a loop of it.
Those marathons, man.
Yeah, dude, some channel like USA just has it like their entire afternoon block is just Law & Order.
That's all that's here, baby. Crime.
They were developed and published by Legacy Interactive. However, the Adventure Company did the distributing in Europe. I am slamming words together. And that will intertwine with our premise. As for Legacy, their business model is and continues to be almost exclusively geared at the casual market. Hidden object bundles, match 3s, bullshit like that.
Yeah.
It's what you would spot on the shelves on the puny computer section at Walmart, or the garbage that is taking over app stores on mobile.
They're called Staples. We call them Staples games.
Staples games? Staples Core?
Because Staples Staples and Office Max had one rack of PC games, and it was all like Nancy Drew and Match 3s and stuff.
I could vision it in my mind.
But every so often you would go there and just be like,
Age of Empires 2?
Yeah, and you would just be like, yo, Warcraft 3, what's this? And then it's like, you just found like this beloved game that you're like, you bought at Staples. I definitely...
Most of these now are like digital codes on Amazon. I mean, and they've been doing it for a long time, since 1998 to be exact, including licensed stuff such as tie-ins to Criminal Minds, Murder, She Wrote, CSI, The Apprentice, as well as our topic here.
Wait, they did Law and Order and CSI?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Double dipping. Yeah. And in similar fashion to the
Criminal Minds.
The Half-Life 2 affair, this also took a while for the issue to come to light. Going on 4 years since its initial launch, it was reported to the BBC via a tip-off, this was pre-social media skyrocketing into the mainstream, that the Double or Nothing sequel insensitively featured a CCTV still used in the investigation of one of the United Kingdom's most infamous and cruel murders, and one of an innocent toddler at that. The image taken in 1993 is of 2-year-old James Bulger being publicly and silently abducted from the Strand Shopping Center in Bootle, Merseyside, by 2 10-year-old boys, Robert Thompson and John Venables, who would brutally torture and kill him shortly after. Oof. Following a search, once Bulger and those responsible were found, the news of it shook the UK.
Yeah.
Nobody knew how to, A, even process such depravity, and B, what do you do in like the handling of punishment for offenders so young? The debate on sentencing and rehabilitation ran rampant all over the world, but ultimately in November later that year, both Thompson and Venables became the youngest convicted murderers in British history. Fit to stand trial, each were charged and given indefinite detention at Her Majesty's pleasure and remained in custody until a board decision in June of 2001 granted them parole at age 18 under new identities. Not that would be their last stint with the law or prison, though I digress.
What a shock! What a shock! You're telling me that 2 young boys who would murder would be repeat offenders?
Even today, England does their damnedest to pretend this event never happened. And no lie, they can and will jail you for speaking about it in a poor context.
So it reminds me of the.
So I'll watch what we say.
Reminds me of the one case
we don't live there.
Much earlier was the serial killer couple, the man and the woman, because people were like stunned. They were stunned there. Yes, and it's I think it was at a time when it was just like they could not believe that a woman could be so cruel like that. And it's like, no, it turns out she
also received a different sentencing than he did.
Yeah,
just it was by like.
I feel like it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like people can't believe a line was crossed.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. I can't help but think of the Whitest Kids sketch where they're figuring out what to do for schools for kids, and Trevor's character is like,
this
I got an idea. Detention.
It's called kid jail.
It's called kid jail. Infinite detention is just kid jail in my mind.
What time is this going to start?
6 a.m. That'll really piss off the kids.
It ends with all of them just going, Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
That's another thing. Our teachers are never going to agree when we're wrong.
A, B, C, D, and F. You skipped E. What?
So where is that picture in the game, and fucking why? Well, not unlike Batman, it essentially is used as background set dressing, pinned on an office corkboard, along with other more innocuous and unrelated evidence photographs. We can't deduce for certain what led to its strange inclusion, but my theory is that this occurrence was potentially, accidental. The photo was widely passed around for years, so it is feasible that it could have ended up in a public domain database or random image library without anyone being explicitly clear of its its terrible origins.
All right.
I'm sorry if I missed this, but Legacy, this company, are they based out of the UK, England, or the US?
Oh, shit. That's a good question. Austin, can you look that up for me?
Yeah.
I should know that. I'm sorry.
No, I was just curious.
If you lived there, you probably know that.
I have reason to believe if it was like U.S., it was innocuous.
Right. And it might be because, is Law and Order that's in produced
America?
Yeah.
You know what?
American?
Something, nothing more American than the name Dick Wolf.
So.
Not an actual Dick Wolf.
Yeah.
So, you know what?
Mm.
I was going to say this seems malicious if like all the other photos were innocuous and someone wanted to sneak in like a very disturbing photo because they thought no one would play this game.
I doubt it,
but you just remind me that it's just like someone probably just Googled crime scene photos or crime photos and then threw it up not realizing.
Or even more innocent than that, they just looked up, I need CCTV footage.
Because
the picture itself is not violent. It doesn't.
No, it's a CCTV footage of abduction.
Yeah.
Literally, that has to come up.
And it's like, well, why would you have a photo of abduction? Because it's a police station. Yeah.
They are based out of Los Angeles, California.
There you go.
Yes.
Okay.
Hang 10, baby.
Yeah.
Wait,
no, you're right.
I think this is, okay, I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt because of the context. If it were just like an office, it's like, why would you have an abduction? But it's like, if it was a police station, it's like, oh, you found a library of free crime scenes.
But you but looking at it, you wouldn't know it was an abduction until.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I never.
So
heard of it.
If you saw the image, you wouldn't think it was.
Exactly.
Needless to say, the person most rightfully so upset over the incident was also the person most affected by the tragedy, Burgle's mother, Denise Fergus, who in turn called for stores to halt sales of the title. She wrote to the manufacturer as well, rightfully demanding that the depiction be removed. Chris Johnson, a representative for her, stated how awful she felt witnessing her son's death being portrayed in a form of entertainment, telling BBC Radio, quote, "It is something she feels quite strongly about." It's an understatement of the year. That images of James should not be used and abused in this way, as if he is some kind of public property. It is as if it dehumanizes James, and it seems like his death enters into some kind of myth or legend. To her, it is very real, and the ever-present emotion that she lives on with every day of her life. I couldn't agree more, obviously.
I'm sorry, but like I just heard you saying that in like the king or the queen's English. The prim and proper. His Her Majesty is barely. No,
there is a different, like, the way this is written, it's, you can tell it would be in that cadence.
Yeah, it's
because,
a little off.
Yeah, it is a little
like your
off.
country's been ruled by incest. Never mind. Sorry, go ahead. What were you saying? Go ahead. What were you saying, Austin?
So thankfully, Legacy Software listened, and same with the publisher too, who swiftly withdrew the product from being sold when this royal fuck up was brought to their attention. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, royally.
Man,
Each issued apologies, of course.
What a bloody ending to this story.
Quote, the game was out almost 5 years ago. Not accurate. And this is the first time we knew about it. Otherwise, we would never have put it out. We are sorry and didn't mean to hurt anybody. We will remove the picture and can only apologize to the family. We'll do our best to resolve the solution as quickly as possible, which they did. Within days, an update patch was posted to get rid of the tasteless asset, while further versions were printed with it pre-installed.
Sounds like they only had a pint of remorse.
Is that where we're going
football.
with this? God, you know what? Again, it's one of those things where it's like when you said it, okay, I'm like, oh, this is totally a malicious inclusion. Like some developer thought they were being smart, and then it's like you hear the rest of it, and you're like, you know what?
So bottle up that feeling, because we're gonna have a visual for this next one, and I want to know where you all fall.
I actually think I know which one you're about to show.
So for our final case, another heavy topic, I'm afraid. We're going to carry ourselves over to a franchise that means quite a lot to a number of us, and one that is absolutely no stranger to this podcast. Life is Strange.
Yeah.
It sure is, bud.
Specifically, its beloved first game. This is back with one in 2015. To those who might have missed it, it is an episodic. I'm sensing a pattern with this episodic stuff. Maybe it's the tighter development cycle.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's an episodic coming-of-age teen drama, choose-your-own-adventure game, created by Don't Nod Entertainment and published by Square Enix, surprisingly. It's wonderful and very Twin Peaks-ish. In one of its narrative's key setups, a girl who vanished. During the course of the plot, the player is often encouraged to explore the town's various environments. Commonly littered throughout these areas is a missing persons poster of character Rachel Amber. The format and arrangement on the flyer is familiar, but perhaps a little too familiar to members of a mourning Florida family. For in April of 2010, 28-year-old mom Sunday Blomberg's life was horrifically cut short when, following her sudden disappearance, search and rescue teams found her body decomposing in the woods of Georgia. Connection was soon drawn to the murder by her then in-laws, who were eventually charged with shooting, strangling, and stabbing Blomberg, with the motive being that to obtain custody of her 7-year-old daughter, Isabella. She also was unfortunately the person who would stumble across the link to the, celebrated video game.
Yeah.
At age 17, she would share a 2020 TikTok stating that not only is the layout of the black and white missing poster bear an uncanny resemblance to the one her family had made for her mother.
I mean, uncanny resemblance, it's practically identical.
But also the grayscale photo pose and fucking description.
Yeah.
Literally the last seen date remained unchanged, April 22nd, as well as even the identifying information is ripped straight from the document precisely.
Oh, yeah.
Here, hold on.
It is the exact, it's pretty much the exact same flyer, except the text is changed to different information. It's that similar.
Just passing that around, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, yeah.
It's you can't even deny that it's the exact same thing. I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it too, but I'll take a little look.
Now, both Sunday and Rachel were planning to move prior to their untimely demises. Spoilers. Each were 5'5", had hazel eyes, brown hair, and tattoos. In fact, the tattoos were just about the single feature they did amend. Barely. While Sunday had a tribal design tattoo on her calf, Rachel's calf tattoo was of a dragon. They both sported red star tattoos on the inside of their left wrist, but only Sunday had a matching one on the right wrist. And this shit was undeniable.
It's like literally not even is the layout and the font, but it's like you're right. It's like all they did was change the identifying details.
The included phone number to call was the same as the district sheriff's, but just with the different 555 phony area code that you see in endless movies and TV shows.
So you're saying literally the character design was almost identical.
And not just the design. This is where it gets further. Rachel Amber's fandom wiki page also lists several similar traits to the real-life woman. In a Kotaku report by Ashley Bardan, uploaded on May 3rd, 2023, this after that TikTok began to garner millions of views, an email interview was conducted with Skylar Blumberg, Sunday's nephew. He wrote how both were said to be considered, quote, popular and nice, but also rebellious, with a true love for art and known issues with drugs. It was copied. Like that was Sunday nearly to a T, he commented.
Although
he does emphasize that despite inconsiderate media coverage suggesting that she was clean long before her death.
I mean, I got some thoughts on this, but it's like, I don't know if you want to, I think you mentioned the fact that the person who discovered the similarity was the daughter.
Well, interestingly, this blatant use of theft didn't go entirely unnoticed until Isabella's video. The first instance of brow raising came less than 2 years post Life Strange's release, when a Redditor by the name of Magic Carrot would make a post to the series sub comparing the flyers, and those who saw it were unanimously in agreement. There was no arguing it. It just took a half decade plus for the news to spread to Tumblr, Facebook, and Twitter, where fans were requesting answers on behalf of the French developers. Because obviously their family was never contacted, Isabella revealed in a follow-up blog.
Man.
What's particularly sad is that it still didn't alter her overall opinion of the title. Like, she's a gamer.
Yeah.
She said, quote, I'm confused. Like, I understand stealing the template of the missing poster, but stealing the description of my mother is kind of weird. I'm conflicted. I love the game, though. Remarkably patient words from somebody who's forced to be reminded of such horrible drama.
So it's interesting because it feels like some of this is a lot of lost in translation. You know what I mean? From like the last story it was UK based.
Oh yeah, now we have French.
Studio.
Yeah, they're in Paris.
Yeah, the croissant heads. Yeah, stealing our.
Somebody in Paris, France, Googling missing persons poster and finding one from Florida and like.
Yep. Yeah,
and
they just should have
I know,
but I mean, I feel like it goes even further than that based on the whole character design.
That's where it gets truly
a little sus.
Like that's where this becomes something else, because it's not just the flyer. It's like you're basing the character kind of off of these descriptions too.
It is wild because the life is there's a prequel.
Yes, where
Rachel Amber is fully realized as a character, and the description in that missing persons poster from the first one matches the character design from Before the Storm.
Yeah.
So I don't think that Rachel Amber, I don't think it is based off of that missing person. Personally, I think what happened was they found a missing persons poster and they was like, oh, we can just edit a couple.
Well, remember there is an artist who is rendering the exact tattoos.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. The original missing persons poster
and
says she has
building
a
model
tattoo.
that has like
she has a tattoo on her thigh and a tattoo on a star on each wrist.
Yeah,
and Rachel Amber has a dragon and 2 star tattoos.
I guess at that point, Rachel Amber would not actually be.
And
she wasn't a
the
character.
She wasn't a character. So you're right.
The only thing in Life is Strange 1, the only thing you see of Rachel Amber is
the
that
missing
poster.
Yeah.
No, you're
And
right.
they
No,
talk
you're right.
about her,
Yeah.
but
You know what? That's it. It's like
she became a character later in the prequel game.
I think.
Yeah.
So again, I think it was one of those things where it was like, I think when they went to make her later on, yes, obviously they had to follow the poster. I mean, well, I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't think they meant Rachel Amber
No.
to be,
No.
but it's like, is that character now?
It's not a
now,
fuck you. It's
It's like it's an inspirational thing, and it's
Yeah.
terrible where the inspiration came from. But it's like, I need a kid who was kind of troubled, and it's like, here's a missing persons poster talking about someone who was fun but got in trouble and had drug problems and had tattoos, and it's like, it fits.
yeah.
And you know, and when Life is Strange 1 came out, they were surely not thinking that it was going to be such a success that they would make a prequel where they actually made Rachel Amber a character. So like,
But yeah, I think it's very much one of those things where again,
Does have to remember me.
also the actual model of Rachel Amber not made by Don't Nod. It was made by
Deck 9. Yeah.
Deck
So,
Nine.
Forgot about that.
I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but
Yeah.
what did they say?
So, Skylar went on to explain how it destroyed his grandfather once he was notified. The consensus among his family members is primarily for people to just leave it alone, and that they should have been reached out to by Don't Nod. Don't Nod, who declined to respond to anybody as they claimed they were not able to speak without Square Enix's consent, since they own the IP.
Damn.
Okay.
They can't fess up until
Yeah.
the Japanese let them.
literally, I was gonna say it's like literally what a cop out. You're gonna have to talk to my manager. Where is he? Japan.
Yeah.
Let me just get in touch with him real quick.
One other factor to note here is that Life is Strange does not present the disclaimer Hollywood likes to use where they define how these characters aren't related to any person living or dead, and that any similarities are purely
Any similarities are
coincidental,
coincidental.
or
Yeah.
accidental. Yeah, you know the message.
Yeah.
So omitting that does make them technically culpable in the event of legal action. It's it's protection basically, and artists have gotten in trouble for it in the past. Luckily for them, though, the Blombergs don't seem interested in pursuing a battle. Nephew Skylar actually appears to be in the camp that it is better than pretending that it didn't happen.
Yeah.
He truly admired his aunt, complimenting her kindness and strength, and that her memory is now forever cemented at the heart of this game.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
Rachel Amber is a great character.
Yeah.
So
That is, I was gonna say, I didn't want to mention that. It's like it is a kind of a cool, weird way to be memorialized.
It's
but
strange for us to say, but this is him saying it. He says, quote, I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing that Don't Nod took inspiration from Sunday. I find something about it nice, almost like she was immortalized by Life is Strange.
Yeah.
Millions of people have played the game, and with many of them connecting to Rachel, in a sense, is as if they were connecting with Sunday also. Millions of people know about her without even fully knowing.
Yeah, that's definitely the aspect of it that I wasn't.
It's
taking
such a
into
positive
consideration.
outlook on this.
that's a very good way to look
But
at
It's
it.
a,
yeah.
it's a
Listen.
sweet interpretation to have, rather
Yeah.
than an artist being lazy and immorally taking advantage of your family's loss. But
well, that's what I was saying. It's
Commending
like,
Skylar.
listen, it is a cool odd effect to it. I agree that it's like, if you're gonna do this and like copy that, not just the post but the description.
It's the consent that's the
reach
issue.
out to the family. Like, don't just take this from them and be like, this isn't the game. It's like, at least notify them that
All
they're
right,
doing it.
so Don't Nod and Square Enix, if you're listening, if I die, you have full permission to,
It's
use me for whatever you want.
Yeah, put me in Life is Strange 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things where it's like you said, they did it not thinking, like it seemed like such an obscure source of it that they thought no one would notice, and it's like
It's like I said, French developer,
Yeah.
Japanese publisher taking a missing person
From
poster
America.
from Florida.
Yeah.
Yes,
like,
and that's it, and it's like, dude, just give it enough time, and turns out someone who did know. And I will say, I agree with the one person that it is very cool that they're immortalized. I
Yeah.
also agree with him. You should have at least just contacted them. I thought it was a little bit thoughtless to get that close to it. But I think like the daughter said, it's like I still love the game
Yeah,
anyway.
she's
You know,
not
it's,
letting it,
it was definitely a gaffe, but I don't think it makes them horrible people, nor does it make it a horrible game.
And you don't have my permission, Square Enix, and don't. You do not have my permission.
Also, it goes without saying, it's the poster is obviously still in the game, and that just got remastered too. So if that would have been their time to
so it's
Yeah.
high def, huh?
change it, so higher def.
Well,
So,
questionable.
4K. I know. I think that remaster is supposed to kind of suck, isn't it?
Higher def.
I don't know if they didn't handle it, but
It's not. Yeah, they remastered it by changing
some of
what
like
it
the art
looks
direction, like it didn't
Yeah.
look like this like pastel. I know a lot of people prefer the.
A lot of
visuals
people
the
prefer the original. Yeah.
So there it is. There you have it.
Interesting.
That was 5 times video games pulled from sources that hit way too close to reality. God, I know that those last 2 were especially grim. So I'm sorry. But yeah, good luck, Austin, with the thumbnail that I said earlier.
It's just gonna be Chloe from Life is Strange, Gordon Freeman, Batman, I guess a drug addict, and
it's just you just use from Train Spotting
and Ice-T from Law and Order SVU.
That would be really intriguing, though. Like if somebody just saw that they're just like, "What the fuck is this?"
Oh my
episode
god,
about?"
it's like a trailer. What do these things have in common?
All Photoshopped to be naked with sensor bars over their bodies. That's maybe a little too
Now
far.
I have to click on it. Yeah. And at least that last quote wasn't the worst to end on. So happy Halloween. It feels God, I can't say the word strange because then it's just things I'm making up. But yeah,
is indeed strange.
Some might say
they
life is
subvert that in the
strange.
game. She says life is weird.
Yeah.
But it's I hope it's
So
not like
close.
it feels
Yo, life's wacky, yo.
it feels strange / weird for me to say like I really enjoyed doing this episode even though
Yeah.
it's
You were saying before, it's like
I was worried.
It was actually, you know what? It was
So thank you guys. And
No, it
listeners and-
was far. I thought it was going to be far more grim content.
No,
but,
I mean I appreciate y'all
sounds-
keeping it light because
yeah.
otherwise it would have been.
well, you know what? It's like
dead
it's not
air
like
for a
we're
bit there.
it's not like we were going through and like you're not throwing up the photos and it's just like it seems like a lot of accidental inclusion
Yes,
or
this is not meant to be exploitive.
yeah.
on
I was
anything.
expecting
It's-
something more exploitive. I
Yeah.
think. So, but yeah, it's just
I am a little underwhelmed. I wish more of the development teams would have to kind of like own up and fess
Yeah,
up. I always love how like they find the root of the problem, but it's also like the whole company is held accountable, so it's kind of
apparently the people making the shovelware had the most integrity. I think.
jeez, that's really saying something,
Yeah,
ain't it?
I'm with you though because I was also fat. I was like, well, how are they gonna find themselves out of it? And it's
Yeah.
just a lot of times they're just like,
Them Duke boys are out of the game.
yeah.
How will they finally get out of this trouble?
I mean,
Like
yeah.
it has to go to somebody in PR, and they're just like, we're just not gonna, it's like,
it's all they're always weighing like a public relations kind of decision, and it makes more sense for like somebody like as huge as Valve to just kind of have it like fly under the radar.
Now
Like
they-
when Don't Nod responds and is like, you got to talk to our publisher. They
Yeah.
own the IP.
Valve is
It's like-
crazy. They just hit the mute button
I
on
don't
all
think
the criticism.
Square Enix is going to sue you. Don't
Right.
Nod if you like
if they
call
were like,
the
if
family
we were
and
like,
apologize.
fuck, we're sorry.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah.
I guess I don't know.
We'll send a
Yeah.
collector's edition out to that home.
Was this
Yeah,
was
you get the
discovered?
vinyl soundtrack.
This was covered this year, right?
yeah,
Okay, so this was after Life is Strange 2.
yeah.
So Don't Nod was like, we're never gonna have to fuck with Square Enix ever again. That game was garbage.
We'll be back for more scary stories to tell in the dark in the coming weeks. If that's not your bag, we've got plenty else as well. Check out our series on the Street Fighter movie and the game and Gizmondo, GoldenEye. Those are far.
As well as the ones you mentioned, like the other Halloween episodes.
Yeah,
The Hong
yes.
Kong 97
and if
one.
you are fucked up like
yeah,
me,
we did one on cannibalism.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah,
did
that
a couple creepypasta ones we were talking about. I did those last
Yeah,
night.
yeah.
You did Shinrikyo,
yeah, the Madden Curse,
Polybius,
Resident
Yeah.
Evil.
Resident Evil.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, the Hong Kong 97 one. That is probably by far like that's some dark content in there. Yeah, that was.
I think Shinrikyo.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a literal cult, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
You know what?
And it involves like gas bombing.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that's all right.
And stay tuned for our anniversary and Game of the Year talk. And
Yes.
wait, why am I doing plugs? This is your job.
Doesn't have to be. You can do it too.
Can I
Well,
ask for a
take care,
request?
listeners.
Can you
Sure.
try and find that skeleton that sang that song to play us out?
If I can, you'll hear it.
Oh my
Okay.
god!
You know what?
Fantastic.
You know what?
Yeah.
The thumbnail is going to be Michigan J Frog for this episode.
Actually, that
Censor
Oh
bars.
my
No, I'm not
God.
going to use a dead body in the thumbnail, but that would be
Censor
hilarious.
bars.
Oh
Are
my
you just
God.
saying straight up Michigan
Yeah,
J
just
Frog?
Yeah.
just him in the top hat dancing.
I'll throw him in there somewhere. Yeah, we have more Halloween fun?
yeah.
Question mark to
Festive.
come.
Oh, the next one's gonna be fucking wild.
Yeah. And then, yes,
Nice
November
cliffhanger.
Stick
will
around,
be
yeah.
our
Mhm.
5th or 6th anniversary.
Uh,
We started in
wait,
2017.
we went through this earlier. I don't.
I don't remember.
Listen,
It will be our anniversary. We've been doing this for
You guys
at least
love
half
it
a
so
decade.
much, you forget
Yeah.
its age, just like me with my kids.
Correct. And then we got we'll have a couple episodes thrown in here and there,
Yeah.
maybe, but we got Game of the Year stuff coming up
Mm.
towards the end of the year as well.
I gotta bust out my detective hat. For
Yeah.
our,
You can find all
next
that and
recording.
more at hotbuttoncast.com. We're also on all the podcast feeds and our social feeds, our Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at hotbuttoncast.
Yeah.
So stay tuned there for our next Halloween episode, which we will not spoil right now.
Yes. Bye, everyone. Sorry
Bye-bye.
I bumped the mic numerous times. Good night.